What's good, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Becca Dudley. I am your host for this evening, so thank you to the Royal Navy for inviting me down. And we are very much live right now, so big up to you wherever you are right now. We're going to have some fun, all right? So today we're talking about the Royal Naval Reserve, the RNR, and what you can do if you want to step out of doing the everyday every day. So maybe you're someone who is always trying to beat your personal best or challenge yourself mentally and physically, or just step away from the mundane. Well, the R&R may just be for you. Maybe you want to try something adventurous or learn a new skill, try a new sport or travel the world, but also fit that into your day-to-day life. Well, then you've come to the right place. And the good news is you can actually earn whilst you learn. And there's so many different roles to get involved with within the R&R, from aviation to warfare specialists, engineering, logistics, and loads more in between. So today we are going to be hearing about the R&R experience from the reservists themselves. So we'll be chatting to Josh Freed, who joined 7 years ago at age 16, and find out what he gets out of the reserves. We'll also be chatting to Pippa Bailey live in the studio. We'll be shining a light on Liverpool's HMS Eaglet and seeing what they get up to in training, and as well as hearing about all the cool things you can do in the R&R. We'll also be answering the questions that you want to know about. So throughout the show, you'll see questions popping up on your screen. All you got to do is click on the ones that you want to hear more about, and we'll make sure we get to them in our live Q&A. There's also a chat button up on your screen throughout the show where you can talk directly to the team. They are prepped, ready and waiting for you, so ask away. Now, first up, we have a clip of reservist Shivali, who's showing us what it is like to step out of your comfort zone. Now, she is an investment banker by day, but let's check her out in action at training.
The everyday only takes you so far, but not Wednesday. Wednesday takes you somewhere else, somewhere most days can't. On Wednesday, we see things the everyday doesn't, and experience things the everyday hasn't. Wednesdays for stepping into the unknown, never wasting a single minute. Our only fear, the mundane. And when Wednesday finally finishes, where do we go? Back to the everyday, but only for a moment.
Wow, I don't know about you, but I actually had no idea you could do that kind of stuff in the reserves. It's definitely not something your average everyday person does every day. But who are the reserves? Well, they're everyone from car mechanics to students, receptionists, factory workers, IT specialists, project managers, like the list goes on and on and on. But they are ordinary people doing something truly extraordinary. And by balancing their civilian life with their part-time R&R career, they definitely are not doing the every day. They're often referred to also as twice the civilian because they are doing just that little bit extra. So we're going to meet one right now. Let's meet Josh Freed. He is a sub-lieutenant and he joined the reserves at 16 years old. He's now taking his master's degree at Manchester University, but he's taken some time out to chat to us. Hi Josh, really lovely to have you joining us today through the powers of the internet. How are you doing?
Hi Becca, it's really good to be talking to you today.
All right, so how long have you actually been in the reserves and what was it like joining initially?
I've been in the Royal Naval Reserves for just over 7 years now, and the joining process was really straightforward. There's always someone there to help you if you have any issues with it. The first thing you do is, one of the first things you do is a medical examination. The next thing you'll do is a psychometric test. And then one of the other joining aspects you need to complete is a pre-joining fitness test. So that's just to ensure you're physically fit enough to complete phase 1 training.
So how much time do you actually have to commit to the reserves, and does it all have to be done in one go?
No, so the 24 days a year doesn't have to be done in one go. It can be spread out throughout the entire training year, and it can be done through drill nights, your 2-week-long courses, your weekend courses, and you can spread it out as much as you like, completely dependent on the amount of time you're willing to offer as well.
Okay, nice. And what is the pay and the conditions like?
So when you start your service as a Royal Naval Reservist, either as a rating recruit or an officer cadet, you will start on around £39 a day before tax. Now, obviously, this will increase as you progress through the ranks. So, for example, me as a sub-lieutenant, I've proceeded through phase 1 Alpha and phase 1 Bravo training, and I'm now on around £80 a day before tax. Now, you get paid for doing your drill night, so it's 2 hours a week at your local unit. And you get paid for all the training you do, whether that'll be virtual or in class at national training courses. So you're earning whilst you're learning. So it's a fantastic thing. And once you do 24 days a year, you can receive the tax-free bounty. It's an incentive that we receive as reservists. With regards to the conditions, you're working with world-class kit, you're taking part in world-leading training, and you have the opportunities to travel the world. So it's a fantastic package overall. Not only that, the career is built around you. You develop skills that you will keep for the rest of your life. For example, for me, my leadership skills have developed immensely as a result of my Royal Naval Reserve career. The Royal Navy is also an equal opportunities employer. The Naval Service is a team of 30,000 men and women which come from all walks of life, and that is especially the case within the Royal Naval Reserves. And in addition, the Royal Navy was in the Times top 50 employers for women.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So what is a bounty?
The bounty is a tax-free lump sum, which is an incentive for maintaining the minimum 24 days a year training. It starts at £460 per year for the first year of service, and it increases for the first 5 years of your service, and finishes at £1,810. Now, for me, I earn between £3,000 and £4,000 a year, depending on how much time I can commit. So when you add on top the £1,810 I'm on now, that's a fantastic sort of levels of pay you get for a part-time job, and especially as a student, it's perfect.
All right. And Josh, how do you balance your reserve commitment with your studies?
So balancing reserve service with my studies, I found relatively simple. Because as you all know, as a student, you're very busy during semester term, and you have effectively nothing to do during the holidays, or the summer holidays specifically. Now, with that fluctuation of how busy I am, I can adapt the amount of time I can commit to the reserves, and the reserves are very happy. I completely understand that. So during semester time, I'll be able to achieve sort of minimum I need to do, but then during the holiday terms, I can commit significantly more time. So I've had no issues wrapping it around my studies.
Nice. Well, listen, thank you so much, Josh. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for taking some time out. Catch you soon.
Thanks, Becca. Great to talk to you too. Thanks very much. See ya.
Oh, what a nice guy, and so great to hear how much he's achieved in the last few years, and it sounds like he's got a really strong R&R career ahead of him. All right, so now it's time to see if you lot have been paying attention. Now, you may have noticed at the top of the show, while we were waiting for it to start, we put some factoids across the screen. So let's see if you remember this one, okay? What is the maximum speed the Navy's new Pacific rigid inflatable boat travels at over the water? I'll ask that one more time. What is the maximum speed the Navy's new Pacific rigid inflatable boat travels at over the water? Ta-da! Ta-da, there it is. Is it A, B, C or D? You can put your vote in right now. I'll give you a little clue. It's the equivalent to 43.7296 miles per hour. Have we got it? Well, I can reveal that the answer is B, 38 knots. A round of applause to everyone who got that right. Nice work. And now, as promised, I have a very special guest in the studio who's come from HMS Eaglet in Liverpool to talk about being an able rate in the R&R. So welcome, Pippa Bailey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Good, yeah, I'm very good. And before we get into the questions, just a reminder to everybody watching, now's the time to get your questions in for Pippa. So click the ones on the screen that you want to hear more about, and I'll make sure we get to them in this live Q&A. All right, so let's get into it. I want to hear like everything from the very start. So what actually made you want to get involved in the reserves?
So I started sailing sort of as a hobby, as a sport, when I was about 9. And I loved it. I got really into it, and then through my school at 14 you could join like a cadet section, so I joined the Navy cadets and I really enjoyed it. So I did that 14 all the way up to like end of college, and I was like, I really like this, like I sort of don't want to leave, but obviously you kind of have to. And so I went, sort of looked into it and found out about the reserves, and I sort of thought I'll give that a go and joined.
And here we are now.
Yeah.
But 9 is really young to get into sailing, no?
Yeah. So my dad started off at first, he loved it, and he sort of got me and my sister into it, so.
Oh, that's so cute, I love that. So talk to me about the joining process and the application process. How was that for you?
So the joining was like really simple for me. I was expecting it, it was like military. I was expecting to be like this full on, like sort of scary process. But actually, like it was fine. Like I went online, registered my interest, and I was like, ooh, like it was fine. Like it was just like a form with your name, your age, and all of that sort of, generic
Simple stuff. Yeah.
And you get a phone call and they ask, like, do you want to come in, have a chat about it and all that? And then, so you have a chat, you have like a little interview to make sure sort of you're right for the Navy and the Navy's right for you and all of that sort of stuff. And then you have sort of things you have to do to get in. So you've got a fitness test, a medical, a psychometric test, and then later on you'll have a security clearance to do.
Right, and how long does all of that take usually?
So it can take up to about 3 months sometimes, but like often it doesn't. And mine was really fast. Mine maybe took 2-3 weeks, so like it was sort of, yeah, go on, like go for it.
Wow, okay. And did you get this amazing uniform straight away?
No, sadly I did not. When you first join, you get sort of, you wear your own sort of black pants or jeans, well, tend not to be jeans, but like sort of chinos, smart trousers,
yeah.
And you'll get a polo shirt with sort of your sort of place on it. So we're HMS Eaglet, so we get HMS Eaglet on, and then once you pass the security clearance, you get the lovely uniform.
I've had my eye on that all day, and I will most definitely be borrowing if that's cool with you.
Yeah, as long as you keep my name.
Sure, it's fine. So when you actually joined, was it what you expected it to be like?
So I was like, I hadn't had a job before, like I was sort of very fresh, sort of 16, like it was right as I turned 16. I was expecting it to be a bit of a scary, you think military, like just think of a job, like a proper job, not like your little Saturday job. I was like, oh, this is going to be like terrifying, but like it wasn't. Everyone was lovely. Everyone was there to answer questions, and like whenever like anyone saw you like looking like confused, like I don't know what anybody's talking about, like someone would be there and they'd explain it, or like it was lovely. Like as much as like I was one of the youngest there, I wasn't looked on upon being like a child. Like we're all sort of equal there, and everyone was there to sort of look out for you and support you.
Oh, it sounds like such a nice little community as well.
It is like a little family.
So once you've joined, what's the next steps? You go into training?
So you go into your initial naval training, which is referred to as INT, and that's sort of the very basics. You'll do that on your Wednesday evenings, and you'll also do some courses. So that covers everything right from the beginning. So everyone starts off even, whether it be from tying a knot to just ironing your uniform correctly, folding it, making a bed correctly,
Okay.
Just because then nobody gets sort of left behind, There are people in life that don't really iron their stuff, or they use a steamer or something. It's actually joining
I'm in that crew.
Yeah, joining
I have no
somewhere
idea.
where you're expected to iron with certain creases somewhere and everything. If you're like, I've used this about twice in my life, it means that everyone starts off like all together going for it.
Yeah, the full basics.
Yeah. And then, so your first sort of course is just a weekend, and that's your recruit development. So that's very much the same sort of idea, but other things. So you drill, again, the beds, because it's an overnight course, you really actually, rather than everyone, 12 of you stood around one bed, all practicing, you actually have your own bed that you have to make because you're there. And it's the little things, and actually being away doing it, it makes it that little bit more almost exciting. It's like, oh, like this is it, because that's the first time you go away. It's like, I'm really doing this now.
Yeah.
And then your second course is marinisation, which is sort of your first time. For a lot of people, even though it's the Navy on boats, you know, everyone's done the little bit of kayaking or something on holidays, but it's the first time you really do the boaty stuff.
Yeah, that's so
Then you've got your NMT 100, which is where you first sort of learn how to use a weapon safely and stuff, because it is the military and you do use them, but you know, it takes a lot of training. So you have a week-long course, just getting it all sorted, all the basics, all the safety done, because everyone needs it. It's not something in life where you can expect someone to be able to pick it up and do it straight away.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you've got a final course, which is your confirmation course. So that's 2 weeks long, and that's where everything sort of gets covered again. You do new things, new challenges, new hurdles, and sort of it's where you really push yourself and see how far you can push yourself and challenge yourself. So it is 2 weeks of intense training, but it's great. And then at the end, you've got your passing out parade, and everyone's there in their smart uniform, and all the friends and families are there, and there's always that one mum, one mum that's sort of out of her seat trying to get pictures.
Is that your mum?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, everyone's just there, and you've just, you know, everyone's trying to look all serious, like, oh, yes, I've done it. But inside, you're just there like, oh, my God, I've done it. Like, I overcame all those hurdles. I pushed myself to the limit.
Yeah.
Like, I did it.
Nice. I mean, I don't really... So you joined when you were 16. How did you manage to fit all of that in whilst you were studying at school?
So I did think, like, when you first join and you're like, oh, is this going to be like sort of impact negatively actually on like my studies and stuff? But it didn't, because the Wednesday evenings are no different to if you play hockey after school or something. It's very much timing wise, you just make sure all your work's done on the Tuesday or the Thursday, you have time, lunchtime, you know. Time wise, it's no different to just having another hobby that takes 2 hours up after school.
Yeah, true.
And the courses, like, you just fit into your holidays. So like, and like through college, I know at uni you get slightly less holidays, but I'd get, you know, Easter half term, October half term, summer holidays, and actually you could fit it in fine. So it worked quite well actually.
And so let's say I've done my initial Navy training, my INT. What happens after that?
So during INT, you'll get shown all the different branches you can join, what's sort of open to you, and you get to ask people, you get to have a little go at some of the main bits they do. I'm really sort of, you know, some people will be like, oh, that's not for me, but there'll be something else which is very much up your street. So you'll do all of that while still in INT, and then you'll choose your branch. And then each branch has its own training matrix. So similar to the INT where you have the sets of courses to get through, it's a bit like that. You have your Wednesday evening training, and you also have some courses, and through that you go through the ranks and the matrix, and you do more and more training.
Nice. And obviously we had Josh earlier talking about the pay, but I heard you saved up like loads,
yeah,
right?
So I've not spent any of sort of the money I've earned through reserves. I've been saving it up because save it as a big chunk to use on something, whether that be a car or whatever you need in life. Having it there has been really good. So I've saved just over 4k,
Jeez.
which isn't a small amount. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, so for 2 years of work, it's quite good.
Whilst you're at school and learning, and that's pretty impressive.
It's, you know, it's not just the money, you know, as much as people are like, oh, you know, you get paid to do that kind of stuff and everything. It's like, I do, but I love it. Like, I'd go and do one of those weekends anyway because I've such great fun. Like, I love all the people, you're all friends, and more often than not, after a couple of courses, you end up on a course with people you've known before, and it's like you haven't been apart, you know, you get on, like, it is amazing.
And something that I wondered about was for the women, like, what can you wear makeup, and how do you have to have your hair back? Like,
yeah, so it's sort of like natural makeup, so you're not having your big red lip and your big lashes on, but anything sort of...
I'm out then, I'm out.
Hair's just clean and tidy, back in a bun, nice low bun, and jewellery, you can have your studs, but just sort of plain silver or gold, and you can wear a wedding band, so, but no other big rings and loads of necklaces and stuff you can't do.
These guys, I'll be out straight away. Okay, so what for you has been like the biggest challenge so far in the reserves?
So the thing I struggled with was like the fitness idea. So like I wasn't unfit, I did my sailing and I'd happily, you know, do bits, but running was like, it was the no for me. I'd happily row or cycle, but running was a bit of like I don't like running.
Yeah.
It's like I had to really work on that. It's like I started off training on a cross trainer instead, because it's running, but it's not quite running, rather than straight onto a treadmill. And like I spent a lot of time sort of building that up and like working on that. So when like I passed my run down at HMS Rally, like on the confirmation course, whilst everyone else is just carrying on with the next bit of the day, like, yeah, I've passed the run. You know, inside you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
It all paid off. Like, ooh.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's sort of those little achievements where, because everyone has a different thing, you know. Some people can't, they're rubbish at ironing, they never master it. Some people struggle with the fitness, some people with the swimming. Yeah. So everyone has their little achievements where they're like, oh, I did it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that kind of slightly answers my next question, but I was wondering what your sort of highlight, what the best moment has been so far.
So I think best moment, like big rather than like little personal highlights, was definitely my, like the passing out parade at the end of the confirmation course, you know, when you're stood there and all the mums and dads, and it's like, ooh, I did it. Like, even though there's so much sort of almost internal stress still not to like sneeze in the middle of this big thing, but like inside it's just like, I did it. And like still looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, so proud of that day.
Oh, you must, yeah, that sounds like such a big moment for sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel like being in the R&R has helped you grow as a person?
Yeah, I think it's helped me grow massively. Like, I used to be so sort of not confident. Like, I couldn't stand up. Like, I couldn't barely speak if like the whole friendship group was there. I could barely speak, let alone in front of a class or something.
That's so hard to believe, though, because you're so confident now.
But like, I couldn't. Like, I'd be that there, like bright red. I couldn't get my words out. I'd be like, you know, I'd be like, right, can I go for a wee piece? Like, you need to leave. Like, I couldn't do it.
You.
And now,
but look at you now,
confident.
Look at me now. So confidence is your main.
Yeah,
thing,
definitely one of the best things I've got out of it.
And what's the future saying for Pippa Bailey in the R&R?
Future, just to carry on sort of training and doing the hard work, because like the challenges and the hurdles are part of like the best bit of it out of it, because although sometimes you dare doing them and you think like, this isn't fun, why would I agree to do this? Actually, you look back and you're like, it was great and it was such an achievement. So with the training matrix, I'm sort of hoping like, well, it does, it carries on pushing you and sort of putting new things in front of you. It's not just a glide, it's a challenge, and it's rewarding, so Absolutely. Keep that going.
All right, well, listen, we're going to now go to the questions from people watching at home. So if you haven't yet, there's still time. You can just click on the questions that you want to hear more about. And something that people have been asking is how much time do I need to commit to the R&R? So
each year you have to commit a minimum of 24 days. So that is made up of your training evenings and your courses. So each evening is 2 hours, and that counts as a quarter of a day. And you just build them up with your weekend courses and also weekends in unit, which might be a catch-up or a recap of something that's not been covered in a while, or some additional training. So all of that together builds up and usually brings you to over 24 days, but that's the minimum you have to do.
Yeah, got you, okay. And they also want to know, are there different roles in the R&R?
Yes, so I talked a little bit briefly about choosing them. So you've got warfare, you've got engineering, chaplaincy, medical, so you've got all different ones. For medical, you have to sort of already be medical in Civvy Street, so you hand in your medical CV when you join, and if you've sort of got the medical training already that's required, and it would suit you to go into the medical branch in the reserve, so you can do that. For engineering, you can go into, if you've previously been in engineering the full-time, Royal Navy. Chaplaincy, usually or almost all the time, you do that in Civvy Street already.
Yeah. I like this Civvy Street term.
So anything outside the military.
Okay, there's your whole slang going on,
yeah. Right? We do, full set.
That's so cool.
There's some other branches, so I go on the live chat if you're interested, I guess, otherwise we're here all evening.
Yes, there are loads and loads of roles to get involved with. And I think on the website there's
something
loads
for
of them.
Everyone.
Yeah, nice. Okay, the next question people would like to know the answer to is, can I do a trial? Can I do a trial day?
Yeah, so we do sort of little evening trials with every reserve base does it, but in Eaglet we do it on a Wednesday night. Depending how many people are signed up, how often they happen. Sometimes it's every month, sometimes there's a bit more space between them. And you'll come in and we'll sort of almost we'll be doing our training, but different people will be doing different trainings. You can see all the different aspects. You can see the practical hands-on. You can see more of like the classroom-based work, because, you know, would you really be like, oh yeah, I want to join if you come in one evening and everyone's training is in a classroom that night? You know, you walk in like, I don't want to go back to school. So we put on sort of almost a little display kind of all the different things. You can have a go, you'll see people demonstrating, you can answer some questions, you can ask some questions. So yeah, you can come in and really sort of live it for one evening and one evening only. Yeah,
that sounds fun. A couple of people are asking, are Royal Naval Reserves ever deployed in active service?
Yes, so it works sort of almost like you'll volunteer, and then they'll have a pool of people. So let's say they are actually looking for a medic or someone with some medical training. You know, if you've got a doctor that's been like, yeah, I can go at the moment, then they're more likely to get pulled from that pool. Yeah. But yeah, so they go from that sort of the pool of volunteers first, and then once they've sort of exhausted all of them, they'll go to sort of the people that are like, I can go, but it doesn't work great at the moment with like my life on Civvy Street. Maybe you've got just something happening in work or a new kid or whatever. If there's something
if you're at school, maybe.
Yeah, so if you're at school, you won't get sort of mobilised during term time.
Okay, wicked. We've got one more question that the people at home want to know. How long do I need to sign up for?
So I think the minimum to sign up for is 4 years, but is good. Like, nobody really, you've got all the sort of the interviews and you find out more, so it's not sort of like you're going in blind for that. And you can also, if there is a circumstance where you have got to leave, you just hand in a notice 3 months in advance and it'll get put through, and depending on the circumstance, you might not even have to attend the training evenings for those 3 months, so you're not trapped. It's not once you're in, you know, there is some flexibility.
All right, wicked. Well, listen, Pippa, thank you so much for joining me in the studio. This has been really informative, and yeah, it sounds like you've done so much, so you should be proud of yourself. And good luck with everything. Good luck with the future.
Thank you.
All right, so up next, we're going to take a peek at HMS Eaglet in Liverpool in action. So let's see what they get up to in training.
Welcome to HMS Eaglet, a Royal Naval Reserve ship of around 200 sailors and the home of the Royal Navy in the northwest of England. Eaglet and Liverpool remain incredibly important to the Royal Navy today, and increasingly so. We've recruited young, enthusiastic sailors of tomorrow.
I joined the Royal Naval Reserves for multiple reasons. My grandfather was in the Merchant Navy. I'm thinking of joining the warfare branch as a seaman specialist. This gives me the opportunity to work on an offshore vessel, as it gives me the time to go on deployment with my full-time counterparts, as well as it really helps me develop my career in the R&R.
I first joined the Royal Navy Reserves in April 2020. In my civilian career, I work for an award-winning security company. I've been looking a lot into the intelligence branch. I've also been looking to go down the warfare branch as a seaman specialist, just because I find a lot of those aspects of everyday job is very, very similar to what I do in the security industry. One job role kind of amplifies the other. I'm just excited to learn, pick up new things, and we'll see where it takes me.
So Bowden's ahead 3-0.
My desire to join the R&R came from turning 30 and having a really successful civilian career within the NHS. This was the time to challenge myself a bit more, but also to do something that complemented my civilian job. I really enjoy netball, and I play for a local team in Liverpool, and I hope to trial later this year with the hope in the future of joining the Navy netball team.
My light bulb moment for joining the Royal Naval Reserves was when HMS Prince of Wales docked in Liverpool. I remember the morning really well. I was walking my dog along the seafront and was just struck by its vastness. Everybody on board looked amazing and smart, and I just thought, now I need to do it. I just needed that little bit of an extra challenge. So I went online that evening and signed an expression of interest.
One of the best opportunities I had on board was flying in a Chinook. We took off and then started doing a couple of laps around the ship. And we thought, oh, this is fantastic as it is. But then the stern ramp lowered and we just got this real picturesque view of the sun setting behind the ship, seeing that through your very own eyes and right in front of you. Simply one of the most fantastic opportunities I've had within the Royal Naval Reserve.
My name's Ashley Shakeshaft and I joined the Royal Naval Reserve because I wanted to push myself outside of my comfort zone.
My name is Hannah Priestley. I am a new recruit in the Royal Naval Reserve and I joined to learn new skills, travel the world and fulfil my potential.
My name is Hannah Lee and I joined the Royal Naval Reserve to challenge myself.
I'm Sophie Evans. I'm a new recruit in the Royal Naval Reserves and I've joined for the new opportunities and experiences.
I'm Sub Lieutenant Josh Freed and I joined the Royal Naval Reserves to seek adventures and develop new skills.
8 boat! 2!
Wow, so cool and amazing to hear from the team at HMS Eaglet. And I just love the idea that you'll be doing something that guaranteed none of your mates will have done and that everyone is in the same boat, sorry for the pun, regardless of your background, your age, your ethnicity, your gender. It's very cool. So listen, that is all we have got time for, but I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you've had a little taster of what it is like to be in the R&R. You can take the next steps right now by pressing the Find Out More button on your screen and it will take you directly to the recruitment site. Or better yet, you can chat directly to the team. They are waiting, ready for you to answer all of your questions. Just a heads up, if they take a little bit longer to reply, bear with them, they will 100% get to you. So a big shout out to everyone at the HMS Eaglet unit for being absolute stars. Remember, you can follow them on Facebook and Twitter, and also you can follow the Royal Naval Reserves on Instagram as well. So that is it from me. My name's been Becca Dudley, and good luck, everyone.